Adunni's heart was torn between the love she felt for Femi and the truth of their shared bloodline. The revelation threatened to shatter the fragile peace they had found, and the path forward was uncertain. The journey back to the Oladipo estate was filled with a tense silence. Adunni, Femi, and Chief Oladipo were lost in their thoughts, each grappling with the implications of the truth they had uncovered. The revelation that Adunni was Morankeji, the long-lost daughter of the Oladipo family, had turned their world upside down. As they arrived back at the estate, Madam Yewanda was waiting for them, her face filled with a mixture of hope and fear. Chief Oladipo had informed her of their findings, and she was eager to see the daughter she had lost so many years ago. When Adunni stepped into the room, Madam Yewanda's eyes filled with tears. She rushed forward, enveloping Adunni in a warm embrace. "My daughter, my precious Morankeji," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "I've missed you every day since you were taken from us." Adunni felt a flood of conflicting emotions: joy at being reunited with her birth mother, guilt for the love she felt for Femi, and confusion about her place in the family. "Mama," she whispered back, the word feeling both familiar and foreign on her lips. The reunion was bittersweet, overshadowed by the knowledge that Adunni and Femi's love was now forbidden. As the days passed, the tension in the household grew. The family tried to adjust to the new reality, but the strain of the situation was evident. Femi and Adunni avoided each other, the once easy camaraderie between them replaced by awkwardness and pain. The bond they had shared was now tainted by the truth, and neither knew how to move forward. Femi threw himself into his work, trying to distract himself from the turmoil in his heart, while Adunni struggled to come to terms with her new identity. One evening, as the family gathered for dinner, the atmosphere was heavy with unspoken words. The normally lively conversations had been replaced by strained silence, and the tension was palpable. Chief Oladipo cleared his throat, breaking the silence. "We need to address the situation," he said, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "Our family has been through a lot, and we must find a way to heal. Adunni, Morankeji, has returned to us, and we must find a way to move forward as a family." Madam Yewanda nodded, her eyes brimming with tears. "But what about Femi and Adunni?" she asked, her voice trembling. "They've been through so much together. How can we ask them to forget their feelings?" Femi looked up, his eyes filled with anguish. "I don't know if I can just forget, Mama. Adunni has been my closest friend, my confidant. I love her, but now I don't know what to do." Adunni's heart ached at his words, and she felt tears welling up in her eyes. "I never wanted this to happen," she said softly. "I never wanted to cause pain to this family, but I can't deny what I feel." Chief Oladipo sighed heavily, the weight of the situation pressing down on him. "We must consider what is best for the family. The truth has been revealed, and we cannot ignore it. But we must also consider the future. We cannot allow this to destroy us." As the family continued to discuss the situation, it became clear that there were no easy answers. The love between Femi and Adunni was real, but the revelation of their shared bloodline had made it impossible for them to be together. Femi stood up suddenly, his chair scraping against the floor. "I need some time to think," he said, his voice tight with emotion. "I can't make any decisions right now." Without another word, he left the room, leaving the family to grapple with the difficult situation. Adunni watched him go, her heart breaking. She knew that their love could never be, but she couldn't bring herself to let go of the feelings she had for him. The days that followed were filled with uncertainty. Femi withdrew from the family, spending long hours away from the estate, while Adunni tried to find her place in the Oladipo household. She had been reunited with her birth family, but the joy of that reunion was overshadowed by the loss of the love she had found with Femi. Madam Yewanda tried to comfort her, but there was little that could be done to ease the pain that weighed heavily on Adunni's heart. She felt like she was trapped in a nightmare with no way out. Her days at the Oladipo estate, once filled with love and promise, were now consumed by an unbearable sense of loss. Femi's absence grew longer, and the distance between him and Adunni widened. Despite being surrounded by wealth and comfort, Adunni felt more alone than ever. She often found herself retreating to the garden, the one place that still held some peace. She would sit for hours, trying to make sense of the whirlwind that had turned her life upside down. One afternoon, as she sat beneath the shade of a large tree, lost in her thoughts, she heard footsteps approaching. She looked up to see Femi standing before her, his face a mixture of resolve and sorrow. "Adunni," he began, his voice soft but firm. I've been doing a lot of thinking. I've been struggling with everything, what we've learned, what we've lost. But I know now that we can't continue like this. The love we shared was real, but it was built on a foundation that wasn't true. Adunni's heart clenched at his words, but she knew he was right. I know, Femi, this whole situation has been devastating, but we can't deny the truth. We can't be together the way we once dreamed. Femi took a deep breath, the pain of his decision evident in his eyes. I think it's best if I leave for a while. I need to find myself again, away from all of this. Maybe someday, I'll be able to come back and we can start over, not as lovers, but as siblings. Tears welled up in Adunni's eyes, but she nodded, understanding the need for distance. I'll miss you, Femi, more than you can ever know. But I understand. Maybe time will heal these wounds, and we can find a way to be a family. Femi reached out and gently took her hand, his touch warm and comforting, but also final. I'll always care for you, Adunni. I just need to figure out how to do that as your brother, not as the man who once loved you. Adunni squeezed his hand, the tears now flowing freely down her cheeks. I'll always love you too, Femi. I just wish things had turned out differently. With a final, lingering look, Femi turned and walked away, leaving Adunni alone in the garden. She watched him go, her heart breaking all over again, but with a sense of finality that hadn't been there before. It was time to let go of the past and start building a future, whatever that might look like. Weeks passed after Femi's departure, and the Oladipo household slowly began to adjust to the changes. The absence of Femi was felt deeply, but the family grew closer in their shared grief and determination to heal. Adunni, now known as Morankeji, struggled to find her place in this new reality, but she was determined to honor her parents and the life she had been given. Madam Yawanda, though heartbroken by the turn of events, threw herself into making up for lost time with her daughter. She and Adunni spent long hours together, sharing stories, learning about each other's lives, and forging a bond that had been missing for so many years. Despite the sadness that hung over them, there was also a sense of hope, a hope that they could build a new life together. Chief Oladipo, too, was determined to protect his family and ensure that Adunni was given every opportunity to thrive. He began introducing her to the family's business affairs, showing her the ropes and encouraging her to take an active role in the family's legacy. Though it was a daunting task, Adunni threw herself into it, determined to make her father proud. As the weeks turned into months, Adunni found herself growing stronger, more confident in her identity and her place in the family. She began to embrace her new life as Morankeji, though she would always hold a special place in her heart for the simple life she had known as Adunni. The villagers in the surrounding areas had heard rumors of the long-lost daughter's return, and many came to the estate to see if the tales were true. They were in awe of how Adunni had risen from humble beginnings to reclaim her rightful place, but they also saw the sadness in her eyes, the remnant of a love that could never be. But life, as it does, moved on. The seasons changed, and with them, so did Adunni. She found solace in her new role, becoming a vital part of the Oladipo family's business. She used the wisdom she had gained from her upbringing to bring a fresh perspective to their ventures, and soon she was recognized as a force to be reckoned with. One day, as she was going over some business documents, Madam Yawanda entered the room, a small smile playing on her lips. "Morankeji, my daughter," she began, the pride evident in her voice, "you've come so far. I'm so proud of the woman you've become." Adunni looked up, her heart swelling with emotion. "Thank you, Mama. I've learned so much from you and Papa. I only wish Femi were here to see it." Madam Yawanda's smile faltered slightly, but she nodded. "Femi will return one day, when he's ready. He loves you, Morankeji. He just needs time." Adunni nodded, her heart aching at the thought of Femi, but she knew that she couldn't dwell on the past. She had a future to build, and she was determined to make the most of it. As the months passed, Adunni continued to grow in her role, and the Oladipo family thrived under her leadership. The pain of the past still lingered, but it was tempered by the promise of a new beginning. Adunni knew that life would never be the same, but she had found a sense of peace in her new identity. And then, one day, Femi returned. He arrived quietly, without fanfare, his face marked by the journey he had been on, both physically and emotionally. When Adunni saw him, her heart skipped a beat, but there was no longer the same pain. Instead, there was a sense of calm, a recognition of what they had shared and what they had lost. Femi approached her slowly, his eyes searching hers. Adunni, Morankeji, he corrected himself with a small smile. I've missed you. Adunni smiled back, the sadness that had once plagued her now a distant memory. I've missed you too, Femi. But I'm glad you took the time you needed. Femi nodded, his expression sincere. I needed to find myself, to figure out who I was without you. But now that I have, I'm ready to be your brother, if you have me. Adunni felt a surge of emotion, but it was different this time. There was no longer the confusion or the pain, only a deep sense of love and gratitude. I'd be honored, Femi. Welcome home. And so, the Oladipo family began to heal. The road had been long and filled with heartache, but they had found their way back to each other. Adunni, now fully embraced as Morankeji, had found her place in the world, and with her family by her side, she knew that the future was bright. The love she had once felt for Femi had transformed into something new, a bond that could never be broken, a connection that went beyond blood. They were family, and no matter what the future held, they would face it together. In the end, Adunni had found what she had been searching for all along, a home, a family, and a future filled with hope. And though the journey had been difficult, it had been worth every step, for it had led her to where she truly belonged. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for more. Like the video if you found it exciting, and share your favorite part in the comments below. Your support helps keep these stories alive. Thanks for watching.